So to provide context, most of my recent explorations after finishing up my first 2 years at European graduate school, moving more from a builder over to understanding the pragmatics around architectural design, is I've been exploring interspiritual connections, particularly around Vedic traditions, Tai Chi, and from my own lineage within the Christian monastic traditions and everything. And the reason being is where I'm at is in the religious South. And particularly, Philip refers to me as like the activist as opposed to the architect, so that's kind of the role that I'm going to play right now. So I'm going to quickly run through this. The reason I kind of preface that is I was going to play a video right quick. We're presently rebranding this from Regenerate for Scythe to Miracle Grounds Farm, which is a 110-acre urban farm in the middle of Winston-Salem. And let me kind of explain that.
Built into the fabric of creation
is a circular rhythm.
A regenerative design that gives life to all that exists.
Learning from the circular design,
we are building a restoration economy.
regenerating soils,
restoring souls,
and bringing new hope and life to our communities.
We are individuals and organizations from all across North Carolina
who are changing the way we interact with food.
And through this,
bringing people out of poverty.
Teaching our children about responsible living.
Energizing our cities and towns with locally grown biofuel.
And bringing people together from all across the region
to build a new story around our place.
Together we are building
a restoration economy.
And this is your invitation
to regeneration.
So to give you a really quick background on myself, what I'm going to run through is basically the recent iteration. It's not as beautiful as most of the presentations that you've been seeing this evening. That's because I'm happy to say we just gave birth to the second component of a kind of a ternary architecture that we're developing. But as background, I worked in Central Appalachia directly with the White House and launching what is considered to be one of the most advanced coal transition strategies in the country. And the reason why we got so much recognition and winning multiple awards is one, we've kind of figured out a strategy for accelerating the transition for coal country, directly linking it to emerging regenerative agriculture. And we were also able to, through urban design, able to, akin to Peter Lloyd Jones' work at Med Studios, is basically being able to design health into the urban fabric. So over a 2-year period, and there's a TED Talk that basically explains this in detail for about 16 minutes of the way that we design this into a urban area in the heart of coal country. Over a 2-year period, we were able to reduce the overall A1C1 levels for type 2 diabetes drastically by directly connecting economic development to health disparities. So I'm going to run really quickly through. So when I moved back to Winston-Salem, my background was in social determinants of health, basically those soft components that generate health disparities, such as diabetes, which is a central indicator for a variety of other causative or correlations to poverty, heart disease, et cetera, et cetera. So when I moved back to Winston-Salem, I began working with Cross North Children's Home, and most of their research for the past 10 years has been around adverse child experiences. And what really sparked my interest was not necessarily the correlation to childhood experience or adversity of childhood experience to negative or health disparities later on in their lives, such as smoking, depression, suicide, etc., but was more around the neurobiology related to the parasympathetic and sympathetic systems that I'll get into here in a little bit. So as an activist over the past 12 years, I've been concerned about the embodiment within the social fabric, but moving into architecture, what my primary concerns are around neuroplasticity and the neural relationships to the way urban design and regional design. So this is a beautiful little logo that our team came up with about 2 days ago, which I'll walk through here in a little bit. But basically, we're connecting adversity or adverse childhood experiences to resiliency, and then later on building hope, which I can unpack some of that possibly when we. So the way that I relate this to the context of North Carolina is this quote was taken from Richard Rohr. He basically replaces the word with the blueprint. And the way that I translate a lot of our design strategies to the context that I'm living in is relating it to these types of soil architectures as kind of a symbolic medium, as well as the cognitive architectures in terms of neuroplasticity and the parasympathetic and sympathetic system, which I'll get into here in a little bit. And perhaps later on of what Philip alluded to was some of the cosmic architectures related to the Bolshoi simulation. So I'm here for the next 2 days after the symposium to work on my dissertation at European Graduate School with Philip as one of my advisors, along with Keller Esterling from Yale and Benjamin Bratton around his theories of platform. So I'm going to read through this fairly esoteric verbiage and then run really quickly through what 3 minutes remaining. Okay. The living present extends in both directions, into the past and into the future. Rendering the past as infinitely extensive, the future folds itself into the living present where thought continually is reborn. A generative parallelism that regenerates modes and reflective architectures which enable ever more intensive manifestations of conscious navigation into the ether of the real. An evolutionary continuum oscillating between both our sympathetic histories, adversity, our parasympathetic presence, resilience, intensely interpenetrating the future with the higher and higher degrees of freedom, hope. In a word, the blueprint or oscillatory plasticity becomes the platform par excellence for all living architectures. A noosphere where the resonant architectures of synchronization, physics, not Jung, come alive within the subjectivity of time-space, a generative blooming of the past symbolic into the present imagination, regenerating entangled futures within the realistic formings of ternary logic. Lacan's Bohemian knot is one example. Linking all three architectures, soil, cognitive, cosmic, one has to look no further than the integration of CERN, LIGO data into the Bolshoi simulation, platform imagination to real feedback loops, and parallel with AR/AI integration to what will reveal the future of technology. That is, that we are a living system, in fact, the most advanced technology, quote unquote, known to man. Pointedly, we are the long sought after quantum computers, that is, if OR is right, Penrose and Hameroff. Thus, the science of hope is being born, for it is in this hope that we are saved. One more minute to run through. So what the hell did I just say? So to break it down really quickly, we basically launched our health innovation platform that relates social determinants of health to adverse community experiences. And now we're moving into the curriculum design component. So basically, this is parasympathetic system. I'm going to run through this. We are launching a soil to food curriculum with the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school systems, as well as our local universities. What that looks like is basically the kids come in with compost, they compost it, integrate it into the soil, from the soil grow the plants, harvest the plants, and then we work with impoverished communities to have grow and share events, and then thus continuing that cycle. We have about 3 to 4 cycles through Winston, and this is kind of acting as a germ or regenerative seed for a much larger strategy that I can get into details following this presentation if you have any questions. So one of the more exciting ones is the soil to fuel. So we also, in parallel with growing food, we grow oilseed crops. Those oilseed crops are then taken into the curriculum to where the kids are actually pressing the oil, doing titration cycles, and then using waste vegetable oil, converting that over to biodiesel that goes into our farm, and then closing the loop on that. We're presently have a technology platform where we're incubating several technologies, one being the solubilized carbon nanotubes for basically carbon sequestration of emissions within soils. And this is a synopsis of basically we collect compost, soil, plant, grow, harvest, oil is captured, recycled, collect, turn into fuel, and then that goes back into the soil and we complete the cycles over and over. So the future is, just finalized our spec sheet, of which I've sent this to some of you all. We're developing a livable communities index to where we're basically gathering a variety of bioinformatics from our participants, as well as government and hospital data, building it back into a platform as a feedback system for basically navigating how the intervention strategies around sustainability and regenerative design are actually developing real-world impact as opposed to your typical symbolic gestures around environmental development and some of the frameworks around sustainability. Last but not least, and I guess I'm not going to have any Q&A because of this, the other component is I was a part of the core team that got industrial hemp legalized across the United States, and since then we developed Bioregional Cooperative that represents about 500,000 plus arable acres in North Carolina, and that has now become a national model. So we're incubating the cooperative strategy in multiple states across the U.S. That's our cooperative arm. I'm here talking about the Institute for Regenerative Design and Innovation, and we also have Sync Bioresources, which is a private technology incubation platform of which we're incubating a variety of biorefinery technologies, biofuel technologies, and nanotechnologies. So thank you so much.